Welcome to the Cooligans, everybody. My name is Christian Polanco.
I'm Alexis. I've been slighted. Guerreros.
Oh, my man. Just week after week, it's just a long list of people disrespecting
Who have done me wrong.
Alexis Guerreros.
Cut the X out your jackets.
We're here, as always, on Yahoo Sports. Okay, let's get right. Yes, that we need that kind of energy for today's episode because we got a special episode taped in Miami for MLS Media Day. This is the Coaches Edition.
That's right. Christian and I rented a Lambo. We could not afford.
No, we are chatting with one former MLS coach and who might, is always a possibility.
Available.
Get back
CVs
into
out
it.
there.
Gio Savarese of MLS Season Pass.
What a great conversation. Did it not surprise you he knew who we were? It always surprised me. This man, for some reason.
1,000,000,000%.
Yeah,
okay?
This man, for some reason, I'm like, you're too good to know who we are, bro.
He was like, yo, Alexis, how they not send you that coat, bro?
Bro, that's crazy.
So we're talking with Gio Savarese about his coaching career and, his current job at MLS Season Pass in Spanish and talking about everything going on there.
The interview's in English.
The interview is in English. And then after that, we are joined by which Coach of the Year in MLS? What year?
Oh, previous
Last
year.
Last year, right?
The previous year.
Wilfried Nancy.
Who also knows who we are.
It's unbelievable.
It's crazy.
Wilfried Nancy will be joining us as well.
I don't know why after a decade that still surprises me, but
it's still a thing, okay? This is our, it's 10 years in, but we still feel like it's like 10 months in. You know what I mean?
And they both had fun. Like they were ready to have fun in this interview, which is that always makes me happy when you realize what we're here for.
Exactly, because these media days usually are not fun.
Right. Sometimes we're trying to have fun and people are like, this feels different.
I shouldn't be. Am I allowed to have fun?
I don't think I'm allowed to have fun back with you guys. But these two guys were like, let's kick it.
Gio and Willie. I call him Willie now.
Big nonce?
big nonce.
Actually, wait, you can't say that. Means something bad in England, doesn't it? It means like a PDF file.
There it is.
You know what I'm talking about, Carter? Yeah. Yeah. You can't
it's
say
a whole other thing. But no. Big non-C. Big non-C.
You got to hit the E at the end.
So we chatted with both of them and had a great time. So so this is gonna be a nice like I said, coaches edition. Get into the minds of these coaches because they're
maybe the coaches will get in the minds of the Cooligans.
You know what? It's all eccentric people talking to each other.
Yeah. We're all tactical geniuses when you think about it.
That's what Wilfried called us. I don't know.
Look, again, there's levels to it, right?
So let's get right to it. Our first conversation will be with Gio, and be on the lookout for Wilfried Nancy right after that. But we had a great time with both of them. Thank you to both coaches for hanging out with us a little bit out in Miami. So here it is, our first conversation with Gio Savarese. I would argue also an American soccer legend.
Yes. New York legend as well.
Yes, he's currently with MLS Season Pass in Espanol, but we've seen him on the sidelines with the New York Cosmos and with the Portland Timbers. Absolutely honored to be joined by Gio Savarese. Gio, how are you doing?
Great. I mean, it's a pleasure to be with you guys. I told you that I've been watching your show for a long time. This is a good thing.
Why are we still surprised with this?
Some great things. So it's a pleasure to be with you.
Gio, you could have sent a DM. You could have said so. You could have commented.
Also, I think he knows we're New York City FC fans and we're about to do an interview. He's softening the blow. This is good coaching. Put the arm around the player.
Okay. But yeah, you know what? Let's just start there, right? Because we got into this industry because of New York City FC. The team started in 2015. We were in the stands and we were joking around. We were thinking, hey, maybe we should do cover some do some soccer content that's funny and a little bit different. And one of the interesting things that before New York City FC, I didn't attend U.S. Open Cup matches. I didn't really know much about it, to be honest. But then that loss to the New York Cosmos
who were at a lower division. We were like, we got this. CFG money.
That was an introduction to a like, hey, it doesn't matter what division you're in. You have to show up and you have to play in these matches and you have to compete and you have to perform. And you were the coach for the Cosmos at that time. Get that victory. Is there something memorable, significant to you in that time to beat not only just an MLS club, but to beat that specific club at the time?
100%, because especially at that time, we were building the team, and we felt that we built a strong team. We competed very well in the NASL, and then at that particular moment, we felt, how can we prove that we can play a little bit above our level?
And you guys were the big dogs in the NASL.
We were, I think those years we did very well. I mean, we won 3 finals, we lost 1 in 6 years. Basically, we were always competing to win things, and always with different kind of players and different type of teams with a good base. But it was always, the possibility to play with MLS teams at that particular time that we wanted to prove that we can compete.
Yeah.
And the first US Open Cup was actually in New York City.
Yeah.
No, we remember. We were watching.
Because the game ended I believe, in penalties.
In penalties. So the 2-1, and at the end,
Poku.
Kosana.
Poku
Poku
right.
played as
Poku
well.
played,
And then he scored. We tied 2-2. We went. There was a post at the last second that New York City got. That we got a little luck in that moment, but we ended up going to PKs, and we ended up winning the match and going through to be able to play after Philadelphia also. We played Philly afterwards, and we went, I think, to overtime, and we ended up losing the match.
Now, I probably should have known this before we started, but was Cosmos your first professional head coaching job?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So I remembered that, but I wanted to make sure. Was there, for you as well, being someone who's just starting, you're making waves in NASL, but there's this league above you and you're about to play them. Is there, not just for the players who probably want to show they could play at that level, they could play against that level, there's probably a lot riding for the players. For you, being a coach, was it a moment for you to show, like, watch what I could do against, it doesn't matter who you bring me?
I think the first thing was more about what we could do as a team, what we have built, more than what I can do as a coach. So it was the desire for us to prove ourselves with MLS, especially a league that I knew very well because I play in Major League Soccer. I covered Major League Soccer for many, many years with ESPN. But at the moment, it's about prove ourselves. We can beat teams. Can we go all the way to the final? Can we make it? Because it was the only competition that allowed for us to be able to compete with Major League Soccer. And that's why we were always ready. We were ready to be able to play those matches. If it was any team that was coming, of course, we had to play first a couple of teams before we got into New York City or Red Bulls. But when we got to those games, they were huge games for us. And sometimes I think for MLS teams, at that particular time, sometimes they thought, let me put a couple of players that maybe didn't play last game. But then when they saw that it became a little more competitive, that's when they understood, no, we got to take maybe this game a little bit more serious. But for us, they were important games to play. To prove ourselves.
I do want to talk about your time in Portland, because this was, I think for us, especially seeing, having coached at Cosmos, but there's a little bit of, I remember being around Cosmos fans, and you were just, I genuinely felt like you were adored. There was something they
like
really,
a cult hero.
They really appreciated you, and even seeing you get the opportunity at Portland, I think was very meaningful for a lot of the Cosmos fans as well. And I think even the first few years in Portland, there was a little bit of like, even when you were criticized, people were like, "Hey, no, that's my guy. You can't be criticized.
That's our Gio."
That's our." But we were talking about, before we started recording about that you were a fan of the show and stuff like that, which was again incredibly flattering. And you were teasing us about you were like, "Hey, you were criticizing Portland a little bit," but and I think the interesting thing about the Timbers is like, and we get a lot of love when we're out at Providence Park, and we have a lot of Timbers fans and
Portland's a great town,
and Thorns fans that are fans of the show.
Shouts to all the Timbers.
And there is something to, I always say, like, I think the head coaching job at the Portland Timbers is one of the most unique in Major League Soccer, where, like, again, that fan base is knowledgeable. They're rabid.
The city is committed to this sport, unlike any other city in America.
So you go into so the expectations are very, very high, and there's a part of me that, and maybe I'm sure you feel slightly different about those expectations being met. Where I felt like you did a great job there at that club, and I still partially feel like I don't know. I think they left that project with Gio a little too soon. But your feelings being a couple years out from that role, how are you feeling now about
I
it?
have to say that when I had the opportunity to know that I was going to go to Portland, it was definitely one of the clubs that I felt would be great for me to be part of. Because of the history, because of the, as you mentioned, the city, the fans, how they feel the game. And when I arrived there, I just felt that it was everything exactly the way I thought that was going to be. Even though we started a little bit with a couple of games, here or there that we didn't win at the beginning, we put things together, and then we went on a run of about 18 games that we lost one the first season, and we became very strong, and we had, I thought, a very good team. But it was the energy of the stadium, the city, the fans. I can tell you sometimes that the fans will be outside the stadium the day before doing the line.
Wow!
I remember one day even giving pizzas, to some of the people coming down, because I felt like so excited that we could have that in Portland. And then in the games, it was, everybody will say that it's a special place to play as a coach of Portland Timber or against it. Because it's very unique. You feel that you are not only in the United States, you feel something more.
It feels like you're in England with American accents.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. It's weird because the baseball stadium, it's an old baseball stadium, but it's like really intimate. It's really tight. You're on top of the players. It's wooden in parts, and you're like, there's something classic about this. It was almost done like old school football done the American way. It feels
100%, because it's a very unique stadium that, as you mentioned, even the old parts of it, they are very well crafted and brought into life. So when you're there, you feel that you're in a special place. And I think every team that has gone to play there always knew, this is going to be a tough game every time that we play
What's
Portland.
the Venezuelan food situation like in Portland?
That's a very interesting question. So that's very interesting because, they definitely, you're always going to find where you're going to, be able to get your arepa your things from Venezuela. But even I remember, one of the players, the wife, she started just making some of that food. Besides that, my wife can also cook some Venezuelan food. But it's definitely not like in Miami or in other places.
New York
a
has a big Venezuelan community.
There are a lot of
was it cachapa, right?
Cachapa, you have cachapa, arepa, so many great things.
Good.
As far as your time in Portland, is there any particular moment because just we've been at Providence Park, and when certain goals are scored or certain moments are just, they feel like magical in that space. Do you have any particular moment that comes to mind of just like, I am so happy that I am the coach of the Timbers right now?
That's an interesting question, because I can point only one moment, because there were so many. Okay. Every moment felt special. Every moment felt that the energy of the fans, they were right, pushing the team to be competitive. Sure. Besides that, I thought that we had a good group of players to be able to compete. And at the end, I think it's just a special place that even when you're coming from the locker room to start the match, you already see some of the faces, similar faces that you see constantly, and they're so excited about what is coming. Yeah. Besides, the army that they're unbelievable.
They really are.
So I can tell you, not only one time, probably the one moment that, and I have to bring it up because I know you're excited about it, is the moment that I hope that we would have won the final.
Right. I had the opposite feeling.
Exactly. That's why I knew, that's the only moment that hopefully, we could have capitalized and brought the trophy to Portland for that match that we played there.
It was funny because if it would have gone the other way in those penalties, I think we all could agree. Both teams were so close. Both teams were just touching on a final.
I think it had the moments, the game in which, I think New York City was better in the first half. We were better in the second half. Then overtime, I think after the goal, we took a little momentum, but we couldn't, score. So it was a very interesting final, I think, and it could have gone either way.
Right. Yeah. I want to ask something before we move on to the next subject, because we're talking about your time as a coach and your time as a player, and you mentioned before we started that you love listening to the show, and I said, I don't think we were ever critical, right? Joking around. You put your arm around me and go, no, you were. And I got a sense of like what you're like as a coach, right? And when you're a coach, you're sort of you have to manage so much. You're not just managing the personalities. You have to manage how it goes on the pitch and why they're doing certain things on the pitch. And you have to put players in positions where maybe they're uncomfortable, but they can shine in that uncomfortability. There's a lot being asked of you. And then you put on a podcast or YouTube and you see two dummy comedians saying this guy's not good enough or this wasn't good enough. And I think the one critique I had of you is like, I can't figure out what this guy's tactics are sometimes. And is that on purpose from that time? And first of all, very early on in my ability to analyze anything, but is that on purpose because you've always surprised the other team because you're able to say like, here's what's going to do best for us today? Or are you looking at that and saying, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. Here's what our tactics are.
Yeah, I think first of all, I think everyone has the right to be able to say what they have to say. Mm-hmm. That's the first thing.
Right. I say that whenever somebody says something really idiotic. Everyone has a right to speak. You probably shouldn't, but whatever. Here we are.
No, because listen, I think everybody watches games and, they want to talk about it. I just think that, first of all, we cannot be upset about everything that happens. But when you can take some things as, they're right. Yeah. Maybe this could have been better. Or they don't have a clue what they're talking about. Yeah. They have no idea exactly what's going on. Why bother? But either way, for me, because I think every coach is different, I think we know that the work that we have to do is our job, and we continue to, besides, what anybody says. You have to have the belief in the direction that you're taking. But of course, as I said before, sometimes I think that some people say some things that maybe don't have the reality.
Right.
And some other and some other things, even sometimes you say, you know what, this guy are saying something that makes sense, that maybe I should look into it.
Yeah.
And that's why you need to be always open-minded.
Players must have loved playing for you. We talk about how much the fans love you. Players must have loved playing for you because you have you have very calming effect. Like I feel like you can be critical of someone's play if they're on your team without making them feel like they completely failed.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult for me to say that because it's the player that probably should be the one telling you that. Right.
Well, that's the
so, but I what I can say is that you have had very good connections, in trying to help players, and I see that players have appreciated that, and I think sometimes the fact that I keep a lot of friendships with the players that I coach. It could be from the time of the Cosmos, from young players to, let's say, Raul, which, I still connect with him, or players from Portland, with the like Valeri and other players. So the fact that we still have that feeling and connection might say that maybe I did some things right when I coach.
By the way, he's talking about the Raul, just in case you guys aren't familiar with Cosmos. The Raul. The guy standing next to Beckham in a Real Madrid shirt, that Raul.
The Galactico Raul.
Yeah.
I'm curious, and I know you probably talked about this during some of the broadcasts and stuff like that, but the situation with Evander this season, where there was a lot of, he was very vocal online and about kind of just not happy with the situation that he was in. I know he made a comment about essentially promises being made and things not going forward. When you see a player like that in Portland and kind of have that, I don't know if he's staying or going and stuff like that. How do you feel about how the situation is just kind of transpiring with him?
That's a difficult question.
Yeah.
That's a difficult question. First, what I have to say is that Evander's a very talented player.
100%.
I think he little by little is been adapting, and I think this season he showed a lot of his qualities, what he's capable of, not only of the goals that he scored, the assists, but the quality of the play that he brings into the game.
I picked him as my MVP, by the way.
If Messi's not in this league, he's the MVP.
Yeah, I think could be.
Oh yeah, or him or Cucho.
Yeah, I think so. I think there are things definitely in a club that the club needs to say, this is what we believe is, standard. And this is, how players should behave, or this is how coaches should manage things. Each one has their own way to do things. So for me to say anything about that situation, it will be a little bit difficult because I'm not there.
Okay.
How about this? What if Christian and I were players on your team? How would you handle us? I feel like Christian would be the gets the training early, and I would be the one who shows up with Cheeto dust on my shirt.
How do you get somebody like Alexis to maybe get in line? And then maybe
Well, I mean well, but maybe I don't follow the rules.
Maybe I'm like the good student that needs to be like, hey, maybe you talk to me and say like, can you talk to Alexis? Get him in line. He listens to you a little bit more than
I'm sure you've had players that are like me that have like personalities that sometimes are a little adjacent to everyone else, and you have to get everyone in line. How do you handle that?
First, understanding that everybody's different.
Uh-huh.
I think that's where it starts. And I think it's trying to educate yourself and understand people and their culture more, because the more that you understand them, the better they feel about the things that they do. And I think it's always, try to embrace situations in a positive way. I think if you start negative, usually it's not going to go the right way.
Yeah.
So at least if you have all the desire to try to connect and talk and listen, because I think it's listen, because I think sometimes people that are in leadership spots, they don't like to listen. They want to say.
Right.
And I think it's important that it's both way, and I think that goes a long way. And ultimately is being honest of what you say, because I think any word that you say to a player, it should be held as, the reality.
Right.
And that way you can connect. And ultimately what you want is the best for the player, and that the player can provide the best of themselves on the field and as a person for you, that way they can perform.
All right. So for me, my best if I'd be like, please don't do this anymore. yeah. You ain't got the heart. Literally, physically.
Another thing, you've been involved in Major League Soccer for a very long time, since essentially the beginning of the league. And when I was younger, I used to go to MetroStars games and watch you play. I asked this to a lot of folks that have been involved in MLS for a long time, but what does it feel like to see where this league has come from, even from a media side, from just on the pitch and everything? How does it feel to see that growth like in real time and to be where we are now?
I mean, first is we had high hopes to see this league grow tremendously. Never had the the vision that it was going to become this.
Of course.
And I think this is only the beginning. I still think that there's a lot more growth for the leagues to have. The World Cup is coming next year. I think there's so many things that are happening. The Club World Cup is coming here this year. So there's so much going on. And when you see the stadiums, the facilities, the DPs, the teams, and back then it wasn't that way. So we had to kind of build little by little the steps, and there were some very, very good players, Donadoni, Valderrama, Pitufo. There were so many players, and some important American players too that, were the base of the start of the league. But I think at that point, if you would have said, did you envision this? It would be difficult, even though we had high hope that this league will be one as it is at the moment.
All right, I just have to ask, before we go, Vino Tinto. What are our thoughts? Qualifying for the World Cup? What do you think is going to happen?
As a Vino Tinto minded and heart of being, a player for a long time, I hope so. I think so. I think this is our opportunity. We haven't been able to be in a World Cup, and I think this is the chance that we have because the conditions, happen to be perfect for us in the sense that more teams can qualify. I think
and you're playing well.
And we have a good team. We have good players that can definitely perform. There's a different mentality. A lot of the players have been playing, outside Venezuela, more competitive. And some of the South American national team haven't shown their quality that they used to show in the past. Brazil, for example,
they might not qualify.
I think they won't go. But I'm saying is that it's been so difficult. I remember the matches that when we used to go to Brazil, to Argentina, I mean, they were very complicated and still are. But I think, the growth of the national team, the Vinotinto, has been better. But also, there's room for competition that maybe might allow us to be able to make this World Cup, and that would be amazing.
Yeah. I mean, I know how significant it'll be.
The vibes would be amazing.
Okay. I mean, especially
Venezuela gets in, bro.
Everything with Venezuela politically and the country and people. A lot of people leaving, and it's I know it would be such a meaningful thing for just the identity of Venezuelan. So
especially for Venezuelans around the world to be a part of the conversation for World Cup would be huge.
100%.
Yeah, because I think, and we saw in Copa America, wherever the national team, the Vinotinto, went, there was a lot of people.
A party
supporting.
followed, dude.
Yeah,
for
so
sure.
usually that's the way. But it's great to see from someone that has lived inside, La Vinotinto for many years.
Amazing.
That'd be awesome, man.
Gio Savarese.
It's an honor to have you on.
Thank you.
I mean, obviously, we're wishing you the best in 2025. And again, the coverage is always great. The analysis is always great. Have a great 2025 in Major League Soccer. Any early predictions of who you think even might LA Galaxy repeat?
It's too early. It's too early.
If you say anyone besides Miami, though.
I mean, everybody will say that because Messi. But I think credit to the Galaxy. I think that they showed something very interesting this past year, and I think definitely they deserve winning the championship.
100%,
bro.
Gio
Savarese, bro.
Muchísimas gracias.
Gracias a ti.
Bro, Gio Savarese, everybody.
Let's go.
Absolutely incredible. But the action doesn't stop there, okay? Because we have a revolving door of tactical geniuses, not just when we walk through it, but also this next guy who's just one of the most heartwarming, inspirational people that we've gotten a chance to talk to. And I love that he is a part of MLS. This is our interview with the one and the only Wilfried Nancy. Christian, we've talked about the stars that are coming in, but very rarely do we get someone who I want this gentleman to read me a bedtime story. I want him to give me advice about my life. I want this guy to tell me where I have wrong and where I could right. This man dropped some of the greatest quotes in history.
Without a doubt.
We made him a song. He's won MLS Cup. He's changed the game. He makes me want to go to Columbus, Ohio. And no one has ever made me want to go to Columbus, Ohio.
Is he on the tourism board? Because he should be if he's not.
Just put his picture and let him talk to people. In fact, if you want to go to Columbus, you're not sure, just call this man. Ladies and gentlemen, the head coach, the legend of Columbus Crew, championship winning Wilfried Nancy, everybody.
Wilfried, what's up, man?
Hi, guys. How are you?
Good. This is an absolute honor. Sometimes we have guests on the show where we feel like, oh, this person is this is beneath them. They shouldn't be here.
Yeah, top of the list is Wilfried Nancy, bro.
but you are a person that not only I can speak for ourselves, but then I think the league. A lot of people just around world football, there's an appreciation of just your footballing mind. There is, I think there's something that you have shown the world, shown Major League Soccer of just like how the game could be played, especially to an American audience. I think there's a real development and growth of the game where sometimes we talk about like when you watch broadcasts, especially for American soccer audiences, nobody's ever really talking tactical stuff. It's always, they try to deliver the game in a way that quote unquote American audiences can understand. But I love hearing you talk about the ins and outs of the game. And I think it's something that we don't get enough of. But when you are, expressing yourself in that way and expressing those details to a different audience, how does that feel as far as what's the reception to it like?
Oh, first of all, thank you for your words because I'm just a soccer coach. I'm just a coach, you know, and I am just myself, and I don't expect people to. I don't like expectation, so I just try to be myself, and I like to. When someone asks me a question, I respect your job, and we need you to move forward, you know, with me, I'm taking care of the pitch, but you are taking care of the pitch, and we need to connect. So my job is to explain, when I can explain why I think like this or why I want to do that. And doesn't mean that this is the way. I mean that this is my way. And I try to be honest and tell you what I think.
Yeah. Even in that answer, you get the sense that like, even if someone disagrees with you, they're kind of still rooting for you. I feel like you and I are the exact opposite person. Like I'm louder. I think I'm right all the time. I'm like, why would you disagree with me? I thought of it and I'm amazing. But like you have a way. It must be. You must see a change in players sometimes when you get them from other clubs, or maybe a player who's been through a rough patch and not really sure of their career. The way you speak to them, you must physically see it click with them sometimes, because you have a very effective way of getting your message across.
Oh, listen, it's true that I like this kind of challenge because we are all different, and I try to understand people like you, but I have a different way to attack the box. Maybe you want to attack the box with 20 passes. Me, I'm going to attack the box with 10 passes. But at the end of the day, we want the same thing. So I don't know. This is who I am, and this is maybe my background. I don't know. But at the end of the day, the connection with people in my job is really important. And I don't like yes men. I don't like fake people. I like people when they are genuine. I don't mind where they come from. I don't mind the statue that they have. At the end of the day, yes, let's connect. If we are in the same boat, and after that we have a clear vision, we want to do certain things. So let's work. Let's put that in place. And after that, you're gonna do something that I'm gonna learn from, and I'm gonna try to teach you something that you're gonna learn. And this is the idea.
Yeah, I mean, there's another thing I'm interested in is when you are looking for the profile of player to come play for the Columbus Crew, because the especially last 2 years, there have been highlights of just basically this is some of the most attractive football that we've been seeing in Major League Soccer.
Facts.
That even in the MLS Cup final that you guys won, like that. How do you feel about the players that you bring in to take the risks that you guys take, to make the types of passes that you guys make? It provides for just some incredible moments, for as far as entertainment value. But when it comes to bringing in players that fit the style of play that you have, do they adapt to it, or do you look for players that already have that skill set?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah, it's I'm like every coach is. I'm really happy that I have a clear profile in mind, and I cannot negotiate on that. When I signed Columbus, it was clear that I defined the profile that we need, and it's not about technique. I'm going to tell you, first is effort, because without that you cannot do anything in your life. So I don't want to waste time to telling you to run or to make the effort for your teammate or to try to compete. This is not my job. I'm going to help you to achieve that. I'm going to tell you a certain moment, but this is not my job to do that, because it has to come from you. And after that, I'm going to use different tools to help you. Second is audacity, because I believe that in life, that when you are audacious, you are more abilities to achieve something.
Right.
And the way I want my players to play, there is a kind of this. Can we try something? Yes, maybe you're going to concede a goal, but how many times that you tried it and we conceded a goal? So let's do it. And when you're going to do it, you're going to have a feeling of fulfillment. And it's going to help you maybe in your life or also on the pitch. And the third one is brain. Because the game is about nuances, like life.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm not trying to invent something. I'm trying to be logical, I would say, for myself. Because I need to transmit and to convince my player a certain way. So that's why I am a bit selfish, because in my mind, this is clear what I want to do, and I can execute it in a better way. That's something different. And because of that, after that, we are doing the job that we need to do with my staff, and also the trust with the players, the connection, and so on, the safe environment, the competition that we do every day. Like every coach is, I'm not different. I just do certain things, like maybe you like pasta, and me no.
I love pasta,
he loves
by the
pasta.
way.
Yeah. You know,
I think you got nailed on the head there, buddy.
you got it right.
I don't know how you knew that. You can see
It's just
through.
that Nancy intuition.
He just noticed. He's like, there's something about this guy.
I
think
know-
he likes starches and carbs.
You fit the profile of the chef at the team.
I'm also a big baguette guy. I can get into some croissant, you know. I want to ask you about, we talked about tactics. I think Christian did a good job of explaining, like, when we watch Columbus Crew play, there's a beauty in it. There's an art to what's happening. And you said the word audacity. And I think that's perfect because what I've learned just from watching football, and I played very young, but I didn't get a chance to play at a high level. But it's almost like you have to believe, and not just yourself, but everyone around you, that this risk you're about to take. And it's like you're walking on a high line with no net below you. You're about to make this run forward, and you're going to leave a space open, but it's going to work out more times than not. Mm-hmm. The American player, is that something that needs to be taught to them, or are you already seeing that you just have to give them the belief to do it more often than not?
To be honest, there is no American or African or French. No, the desire to do something when there is clarity about what you want to do. So no, in terms of every kind of culture, and this is a really good question because no, all the Montreal and Columbus, different culture.
Yeah.
A lot of mix. And no, this is more about who is behind the players. If he wants to take few risks to play in a certain way. But again, don't get me wrong, because I don't want to be the coach, try to invent something. No, this is also taking risks to play long. Mm-hmm. This is another way to see football. And I'm not saying that I'm not playing long. At certain moments, we can play long, and we didn't play long. But I believe also that in a certain way that when we're able to manipulate the opposition, we have more chances to attack the box in a repetitive way. Simple as that. But this is after that, American or French or African, there is no problem with that. And no, this is more about the desire to do it.
Yeah.
To try something.
Yeah, exactly.
The last thing I want to ask about is we did make a little song out of your quote.
Yeah.
So I mean,
I think we honored your quote.
Yeah,
with a song.
impossible is an opinion is one of the hardest bars I have heard in a long time, and the fact that
I said Wilfried Tupac Nancy.
when we heard that, it was something that where it was like, why isn't everybody talking about this? Is incredible. Like, we don't really get to hear kind of poetic lines like that from coaches in almost any single sport. And we did make a song about it. And one of the cool things was we found out that you heard it.
Yeah. I freaked out when you told me that. Oh my God.
And it's I'm honored that you did. But what was your first reaction when you heard it? I'm curious.
I was like, I cannot say it here because there is
No, please
can.
say it.
Yeah, we'll bleep it.
little fucker. And after that, I said, wow, well done. I really enjoyed it because I love music. I love music. There is not one day that I cannot listen music. This is part of me. And when I heard it the first time, I was like, wow, well done. Bravo. No, franchement, well done.
No,
well
thank
done.
you,
Well
man.
done. Well
That was
done.
so cool. When you mentioned music, any favorite artists? I mean, I love French music. I don't know if you listen to French music as well, but like it's Belgian, but Stromae. I don't know if you know Stromae.
Stromae's great.
One of my favorite artists. And I know very, very little French, but it is something where I understand it for some reason.
No, listen, all kind of music because I come from a family who play music also, and this is for me. Music it's a way for me to get out of the world that I am and to be at peace with myself. And this is I need music, all kind of music, depending my mood.
Yeah.
But my dad also used to play music. My mother also used to dance.
Okay.
And that's why I think that this creativity comes from my parents. So
You know,
this is-
when I have like a really good set, I do stand up, right? We both stand up comedians. When I have a really good set, sometimes your mind races with everything you said. Oh, maybe I should have said this or that was good. I'll remember to do that next time. And sometimes I want to break out of that. I want to kill the adrenaline a little bit. So as I'm getting home, I'll listen to like late night jazz. There's the playlist.
Yeah.
I like jazz, like a lot of saxophone, no words, just the emotion, the mood.
Exactly.
Big win. You win MLS Cup trophy. What's the first thing you want to listen to after that?
There is a Cape Verdean music that I love, and when I listen this music, I have goosebumps because this is a kind of high beat music, high tempo music, but at the same time there is a lot of instruments behind it. And when I put my headphones, because I like to put it in a certain volume, and I am. This is beautiful.
You float away.
This is beautiful.
Yeah.
So now it comes from my family. My sister also sings. You know, so she does hip hop.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, really?
Yeah. So listen, this is something that I like, and all kind of music like you. This morning also a bit of jazz. Sometimes it could be a bit tempo because this is the moment. So yeah. Sometimes I put music also when we train, because I believe that depending the music that you put could be useful also, depending also the game, when is the game, after the game or before the game. So this is something that, yeah.
Well, you know,
So we got to get our song played at Columbus Crew Training.
You are more than welcome.
okay, we'll send that over.
We'll send that over. We can put that in the playlist.
Wilfried, the one thing I'll say is like you are someone who I hope writes a book. You know, a lot of football managers write books and autobiographies, and we get to hear about their philosophy and their background, their history. And I would be
so intrigued.
happy to read that. So
Thank you. We'll see in the future. I don't know.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Wilfried Nancy, best of luck this season, 2025. Absolutely honored that you would sit down with us and chat a little bit. But thank you so much for joining us on the
It's
show.
a pleasure. It's a pleasure, guys, and keep
Absolute
going.
honor.
Thank you so
Cheers.
much.
We'll never stop.
Give it up for Wilfried Nancy.
And everyone you heard here today.
Every time we talk to a coach, there's always, because of their paternal sort of behavior and demeanor. There's always a little bit of like, all right, I could, after this interview is done, I could use a warm hug, sir.
Yo, would you love to read me a bedtime story?
Do you offer calm embraces? Because I would really love that right now.
Yeah. Hey, you want to call me during big life moments? Because I could really use that, bro. I could see why players would run through a brick wall for either of those guys.
Exactly. So shout out to Gio Savarese and Wilfried Nancy for joining us
Absolutely,
on today's show. Shout out to them. Again, super thankful. Shout out to Major League Soccer and for helping set all those things.
Absolutely.
The guy from some of these interviews, sometimes you think like, oh, this Yahoo's coordinating, blah, blah, blah. A lot of times, Gio, it's just like we saw him walking around. We're like, yo, Gio.
Yeah.
Couple minutes
On the mic?
on the mic.
And he's like, for you guys, anything. Tell Yahoo to get out my DMs.
And then, and also Columbus, the Columbus Crew rep was walking
remember,
around.
they came here. They
came here, they
Darlington
brought-
Agby and Aiden Morris and the trophy here.
So they were here, and they saw us there, and we asked, and this is kind of how media day kind of works, where you just gotta ask, you gotta say,
If you have relationships with people, you could just walk up and be like, yo, is it cool?
yeah, if we a few minutes with Luis Suarez, and they said no to
And they're
that.
like, please stop asking me. I'm a security guard. And I'm like, oh.
But they brought him over. You ask, but you don't actually think. You do your part, and you're like,
Yeah.
hey, this is the room we're in. Please come by. And he brought him by, which was really cool. So shout out to everybody involved for making those interviews happen. We really appreciate it. And like I said, it means it kind of shows where we are in the hierarchy of just from where we started to where we are now.
Only took 10 years.
Only took 10 years.
Yeah.
But we
Just
can
a
ask somebody
decade.
for an interview, and they're like, all right, cool, yeah, we'll do that.
Okay, yeah, they're not going to completely lampoon our season with a stupid interview. That's right.
So we love that part. So so again, shout out to both of them. Thank you everybody for tuning in to another episode.
hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell, hit all those things.
Exactly. Follow us on Blue Sky as well. We're growing, having a good time with a great soccer community that is thriving there too.
Bro. We don't need the NFL.
We'll be back on Monday with a brand new episode. As always, we appreciate it. Thank you so much for hanging out with us and spending your Thursday or Friday or whenever you listen.
Whenever
to this.
you listen to this. Thank you. You know what? You could be doing other things while you're taking a poop. But the fact that you do spend it with us means the world.
That's
to us.
and that's the fun thing is that statistically somebody is taking a poop as they're listening to us.
A lot of y'all driving to work, and a lot of y'all pooping. Some of y'all pooping at work.
Pooping in your car.
Yeah, please don't do that one. Yeah, unless you figure out how to do that, then let me know. I could use that.
All right. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you on Monday. Peace.
Love you guys.